I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for Shafter City Council Tuesday, November the 15th, 2022. Also at this time, I'd like to call to order the City Charitable Purpose Foundation regular meeting for Tuesday, November the 15th. The first item is a roll call, and council members absent tonight are Mayor Pro Tem Givens as well as Councilmember Lopez with an both excused absences. I'll lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have Councilmember Alvarado share in the invocation. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We ask that you continue guiding us and watching over us, and also we pray for Councilmember Lopez and his son and his family, Lord, that you be with them as well. Pray for the fast recovery for his son, and we ask that you protect them and also do the Councilmember Givens. And we thank you, Lord, and in Jesus' name.
Thank you. Okay, we need approval of agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as read.
I'll second.
Today we have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to approve the agenda as printed.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Next item is public comment. Anyone in the audience care to address the council may come forward at this time.
Jeff Martin, American Refuse, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. We did our last rollout for this year, which was roughly around 250 customers. We won't be doing any more rollouts for the rest of this year. We'll start back up starting in January, and we just have two more, roughly about 550 customers that will actually get rolled out. But so far, everything's going well. So not a lot to report.
So it's January and the other one group is
There'll be one in
February.
January, which will be around 250 customers, and then one in February, which will be another 250 customers. And it's mostly just the area from Mantle to the east.
Very good.
So that's about it.
Are you following up at all with the ones that are already out issued?
I'm every time. Well, some people that reach out to us, yes. I mean, we're only knocking on the doors if there's a problem or reaching out to folks that way. But ultimately, you know, the calls when we first rolled out, you know, we were getting well over 100 calls a day. Now we're down to, you know, we roll out usually the first week and the second week we get roughly between 10 and 15 a day, and you know, it just slowly goes off, and by the fourth week, you know, we might get one or two a day. And we're tagging a lot of carts, you know, we're very persistent on inspecting every container. And so a lot of it is those folks that are getting their cans tagged and they're reaching out to us and, you know, trying to get clarification.
Okay, and the placement, I noticed placement isn't always put back where they should be.
We are not at all enforcing that. I
Yet.
think Perry, that'll maybe be his part, but for us, we're just making sure that it's somewhere that we can get to it. But it's if someone leaves it out, we're not. Yeah, we're not cracking that whip. A lot of people ask us, you know, and we're trying to give them some good advice, you know, at least get it up to their house, get it, you know, off the city right away. But other than that, you know, it's.
Right. Okay, that's just what we're questioning, because we need to work together to make sure that comes out so that the neighborhoods look good.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's such a challenge with the transition. I mean, even today we get people calling that got their cans, you know, last week that said, hey, you didn't pick me up in the alley. And we said, no, that's not happening. And so, you know, there's a bit of transition. And so through these baby steps, you know, will we start to enforce that? And I feel like, going through the neighborhoods, especially like, the neighborhood I live in went through a transition, and the neighborhoods behind me, and I drive through it every day. Over time, everybody gets used to it and starts to
Okay.
find their place, and it starts to become less and less of a problem.
Right.
So I think it's just getting better and better, and everybody's kind of learning. A lot of people had a lot of opinions, but had never really dealt with those cans before. And after they get them, it's a different story.
So good.
Yeah.
Good. It'll work.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yeah.
Have you been getting very many requests like for help to get the cans out to the street?
We have, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I think there's more than 10 people that we do that to. And the thing is, when we roll out, a lot of these folks, you see them, and so we reach out to them, but we have gotten more than we anticipated.
Okay.
So, and it's, like we had, last week, it was raining. And so one of the persons, their cans were in their garage, so they didn't open their garage. And so we were like, oh no, we missed their cans, but their garage wasn't open. And, the person said, hey, I'm by myself, you don't have to come every week to pick it up. And so it's finding that happy space of what they need versus, and the signaling, they didn't open their garage and we're pulling their cans out of their garage to help them, because there's, it'll blow you away. There were some folks that were rolling their cans out that were in wheelchairs, that were curbside customer before we took over. I mean, there's a lot of people that really, I was pretty shocked at what they were doing, but I feel like we've been pretty successful getting in touch with those folks that needed the assistance and getting their cans out. So it's gone fairly well.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Quick question, how do you paint the containers?
The pails. So we have the office at the Shafter Yard, and so you can come over there. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and from 10:30 to 5:30. Yeah, we, in other jurisdictions where we've given a whole bunch of them out, they usually end up in the trash. So if someone really would like one and they come and get one, we'll definitely give it to you. And if you need more than one, we can give you more than one. But if we go out and give them to everybody, they usually end up, yeah.
Anything else?
Good job.
Yeah, it needs. Thank you. Anyone else have public comment? Okay, we'll move on. Council announcements. Pete, you have anything you want to add tonight?
On the 4th, I attended the employee appreciation dinner at Hodel's. It was good food and even better company. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching the city employees, there at the get together. And then I didn't know there was so many gamblers there. Well, boy, they were having a good time at the gambling tables. On the 10th, I attended the Kern County Enforcement Foundation Officer of the Year Award dinner. And that was a very nice dinner with all the awards going out to all of the law enforcement and the recognition of SWAT Officer Campus. So I appreciated that. On the 11th, I'd like to wish all of our veterans happy Veterans Day, and thank you so much for your service. On the 12th, I attended the Wings and Wheels show at the Minter Airfield, and it was a great show. There was a lot of things to look at, from airplanes all the way to vintage tractors. So I had a great time out there. And then I also attended a tour at the JTS Modular Plant, where they make the module buildings. And there was a couple of us there from the city, and we were looking at how they go about constructing the buildings, which was very, very impressive. I thought you just build a whole building on site, and then you just break it apart on sections and deliver it to where it's going, and then you just build it right there. And like they were saying, their biggest thrill is when they say that they appear at a job site and the building isn't there when they start, but by the end of the day, it's a full-fledged building and everything's connected together. And I guess it takes them a couple of months to hook all the wires and connections together. And then there you go, a full-fledged building just like that. And that's all I have.
Okay, Gilbert?
I think I only participated in one from all that Councilmember Espinoza said. That was the Employees Appreciation Dinner. I had a great time, and you know, it's good to be able to break bread with our staff and the rest of the employees of our city. And I had a great time. I didn't get to gamble, but I think if I did, I would have lost my house. But no, it was a great time. It was really good. Also on another note, I just want to make an announcement for December 2nd, which is a Friday. We're going to have the Lions is going to be having their Christmas parade. And everybody's welcome. There's no fee to participate in the Christmas parade. The park is going to be open from 4:30 to 6:30. There are going to be some food vendors there and some bounce houses, and the brass team of the brass band group going to be participating as well, about from 5 to 6. Then the parade will start at 6:30 to 7:30, and then Santa Claus will be arriving at 7:30 to 8:30 at the gazebo, where kids could take pictures with Santa Claus, and that's free as well. So everybody's welcome to come and have a good time, and the theme is trying to make it more like the Hallmark theme. Channel 32, I don't know what channel, but that's all I have to report.
Did you get it in the newspaper?
No.
Oh, because I had a call yesterday and I told them to call Lions Club to
Yeah.
get it.
No, they don't call.
Oh, yeah, you need to get it in there because that'll get some information out there, buddy. And we have it on the site, I think, don't we? Don't we have it on the? Yes, yeah, that's good. It usually has a good turnout, so it should be. a
Yeah,
nice
we're hoping
evening.
for a good turnout.
Yeah. Okay, of course, the Employee Appreciation Dinner is something we do every year. And this year was exceptional. And it might be good for the public to understand that a casino night that was scheduled was all free and taken care of. It was an entertainment company that came, and it really ended up being a highlight of the evening. I think everyone that was there did enjoy it. I had doubled my chips before I left, and I'd only played for about an hour, so I thought it was okay. I mean, I wasn't afraid to at least bid on it and bet on it, so. And then I wanted to point out that the Thanksgiving display is up downtown, and we did that on the 4th also with the turkey as well as our pilgrims and pumpkins, so it does look nice down there. Also, on the 10th was the Kern County Law Enforcement Foundation event. And it's really gotten to be a very large event. It was really started back in 1988 when just 4 law enforcement related people started to realize that we should recognize law enforcement in the county. And it has grown to a huge event today that they recognize individuals, they award scholarships, they recognize businesses that are always there, especially in recognition for law enforcement in our county. County is very strong in supporting our law enforcement. The 2 business people that were recognized was Jeff Salters from Salties. And he's been in business for 10 years and contributes a great amount to the community in Kern County, but also especially to law enforcement. And they catered the meal that was there. The other one was John Haddad, and John was a son. I don't remember the dad's name, but the son is Haddad Dodge, and they're big contributors in the community too. So it was fun to be able to recognize them. They have lots of raffles. It's interesting to go by, and then they had auctions for silent auction and live auction, because it's a way that they raise their funds that they in turn give in scholarships or help out in law enforcement. So it's really a turnaround that really supports the law enforcement as well as in the community. The cadets that were there, they did a really neat thing with cadets this time. They must have had about 15 there, Chief. At least, yeah, boys and girls, or guys and girls. And what they did on a silent auction, which I'd never seen before, is they talked about how these cadets are having to take classes and be a student, and yet they needed money for scholarships. So they started just picking on people to donate to put these kids through their tuition and help them out in getting their education. So it was a fun event, and yet it did raise some pretty good, substantial amount of money. Okay, then we did do the JTS module tour in the plant yard. And what was interesting is the buildings that they do is really connected a lot to schools, but they're also starting to do a lot in the municipal facilities too. And so we're looking at them to do for our substation, as well as fire department from the county is looking to see if they could add a module to add to our same area out at Gossamer Grove. So it's rather interesting. If you're interested, we have some of these brochures that shows other projects that you can certainly have a chance to look at. Pretty well-rounded. The buildings are designed by another company and they construct it. And like we said, they deliver them to these places. They even go way up north. And they've been in business for, I think they said 10 years, wasn't it, Chief? Yeah, he's been constructing and they're really growing. I mean, it just seems to be a nice new way of keeping the price down, as well as a very convenient way of building. One of them for, you really have to see it, but Delano has Porterville has some issues with their sandy ground or something. And so where they're going to put this building, they needed to do not a slab foundation, but they needed to do a concrete foundation in this building. And so we got to see this very different module that they're building. And I don't know even how they're going to transport it. It's so heavy because of the steel girders that are in it, as well as this real thick cement that has the foundation already poured and built in it. Dennis, you would have really liked to see all of this. I mean, it was pretty unique. Yeah. I mean, you're welcome to go out there anytime. Maybe when we start building ours, you can go out there and watch it. Yeah, the design is what's going to be key for us, because we can get just about anything we want to make it fit what we need for our own use here. So we're going to have it as a substation with intentions in the future of whatever we need to do to add or to build it to satisfy what we need in the future too. So a nice way to do construction. Then I also, last night was on the Zoom part with AB 617. 617 is always an interesting group. They have money allocated for air monitoring, as well as money that helps to cut the emissions in air quality in our area. And we've been a pilot project. We've been into this already for going on 4 years now. So the last item that was brought up that I thought might be of interest to everybody was outdoor cooking that we have with our markets in Shafter. There's 3 markets that do outdoor cooking, and then they sell what they've cooked out there for you and I to go and purchase. And there was concerns that, is that really a good way for the air because of the wind, the smell, the rules that, or the permits that have to be issued. And the city has issued 3 permits for 3 restaurant or grocery stores. And the monitoring that they're doing to date seems to be satisfied, and yet some of the people on the committee were not satisfied that it's monitored enough. And so the air district will continue to monitor those just to prove that there is no problems, and the laws would not change it. They are certainly allowed to do that, and those are state laws. There has been a lot of money donated or issued already, and the city has qualified for some of it. Aren't we doing the bike, Mike?
Mayor Pratt, I understand that they are working towards an award for pedestrian and bike lane improvements along Highway 43.
Yes.
It's one of the more notable projects, as well as the sidewalks in the Mexican colony, I believe.
Yes.
Which is a county jurisdiction project.
Right, but then don't we have chargers? Didn't we get charger stations?
We have there's an application process to follow through on, which we intend to do, but yes, charging stations will be an option.
All right. And then I know Richland School District's now coming in and they're going to take advantage of getting some new electric buses. And so that they were looking too to do some charging stations at their schools. So some of the reward will come back in this area because money is available. Lawn and Gardening has already had a giveaway of electric lawnmowers and it was well received in the community and there's only almost $25,000 left in that program, but you and I could apply for it. You just have to reach their district and fill out the paperwork and you get a mower. Anyway, it looks really good and I serve on a committee as well as one of our staff members, Steve Esselman, and he was on the call last night too. So that was just a recent update on that one. That's all I have under that item. Okay, the next one is consent calendar. We only have 8 items on the consent calendar. First item is approval of checks, approval of the payroll and the minutes for November the 1st, overtime report for October. Number 5 is to adopt the City of Shafter employee biweekly pay schedule effective November the 1st. Number 6 is approve construction plans and specifications for the 2023 Santa Fe Shoulder Improvement Project. And the project will be for formal bid procedures. Number 7 is to accept public improvement completed with the addition of the Starbucks. And number 8 is to adopt resolution number 2893, which is declaring that real property owned by the city located near the northwest corner of Shafter Avenue and Beth Eden Avenue is exempt surplus land and find that that declaration is exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act. Any questions from the council or the public? Hearing none, we'll have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, seconded by Councilmember Alvarado to approve the consent calendar.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Moving on to manager reports, the number 1 item is planning commissioner appointments. Staff?
So the Mayor and Council, at the last meeting, City Council entertained 2 candidates and interviewed the 2 candidates. So this evening, it's at your discretion to make those appointments. So that is so as you wish to make the 2 appointments of the 2 individuals that were interviewed by you.
Any questions?
Other than that, they're both qualified for the position. So make nominations, I guess.
Motion?
Yeah, I'll make nomination to accept the 2 nominees.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to approve David Peiser and Lovedeep Joshan for the planning commission.
And congratulations to both of them.
Roll call?
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Yes, and it's good to have you in the audience tonight. Yeah, you didn't have to come, but yeah, that's good. Yeah, you'll start in January, so yeah, that'll be good. Welcome. Okay, the number 2 item is to approve for second extension, the economic development, business expansion, attraction and retention incentive policy for the downtown commercial, neighborhood, commercial, and general commercial zone districts in the historical corridor of Shafter.
So Mayor and Council, this is an item that we're bringing to you. This was a program that was adopted as a temporary incentive program to assist businesses during the pandemic as a result of what was happening in the economy. The intended purpose of the program was twofold. One was to help businesses during the economic state that was currently occurring at that time. Then secondly, that cost savings they would realize with the fee reduction. This was a fee reduction on our building, planning, and engineering fees by 75%. That would help hopefully assist those businesses by that savings they would realize to reinvest into their businesses. So in year 1, when the program was adopted, the number of businesses were 19 projects that benefited from the program. And at the end of the day, the owner savings was about $6,600 during that time. In the second year that ended this past month, the number of businesses nearly doubled to 36 projects that benefited from the program. The total fees paid in 2022 was $157,000 compared to 176 at the original rate. The owner savings was about $19,000. At this time, we're bringing back the Bear Incentive Program to phase it out. It is proposed that we will do a 6-month extension through July 1. So for the next 6 months, rather than just stopping the program altogether, we want to give it one final push and then have it phased out come July 1. So any businesses in the queue can still realize the savings from the program. But after 6 months, June 30th, the program will go away. The reason we are recommending to phase it out is because, as we have seen, the state of the economy as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic has now been in recovery. And so we are losing some of that revenue at a time that we ourselves can use the fees, the payment from those fees. And so that is the reason why we are recommending to do the 6-month extension through June 30th. And then come effective July 1, the program will cease to be in place. Staff's recommending approval of the
Yeah, I have
6-month extension.
Yeah, I have a question. Our paper showed that we had 19 that applied. That was the first go round. Then you said we had up to 30.
6, the second round, yes.
Okay. That included the 19? It
Yes,
was-
well, no, it was the 19 in year 1 when we first put the program.
Uh-huh.
And then if you recall, we did a second extension,
And it was a total of 30.
30, so it's the 19 plus the 36.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
so-
it was picked up quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a
Okay.
bit.
So we're extending it to May 31st.
June 31st, 2023. Oh, then that's probably a typo. Apologies. That was a typo in the resolution on the date, correct? City clerk, yeah. But it is through June 30th. Yes.
Any other questions? Comments? We have a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to adopt resolution number 2892.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Number 3 item is the award professional services agreement in the amount of $203,400 for the Aquatic Design Group for the design of the Aquatic Center Restoration Project.
So, Mayor and Council, the next 3 staff reports, items number 3, 4, and 5 will be made by our by our Public Works Director. The first item is related to the swimming pool. As you know, the city has received funding for the retrofit of the existing pool. And so this item is to award professional services agreement to the design group, and I'll defer to our Public Works Director for further staff report.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, the city was previously awarded a state Clean California grant valued at close to $5 million to be invested in core city park and recreation site upgrades. Among the sites to be improved is the Shafter Aquatic Center, which is actually supposed to receive over 1/3 of the grant, or approximately $2 million. The application for the grant several months ago cited recommendations of a site assessment that was prepared by Aquatic Design Group. Bear with me here, which specifically covered improvements needed to modernize the site as well as bring it into compliance with applicable standards. So due to the expertise needed to prepare actual construction plans and specifications for the improvements, the council previously authorized a request for proposals for consultants to provide the service. State grant requirements actually prohibit costs from being submitted in the proposals initially. So it's more or less a request for qualifications. So regardless of what it's actually referred to, the process was completed and resulted in one proposal being submitted. Fortunately, that proposal was submitted by Aquatic Design Group, the same consultant that prepared the site assessment a few months ago. So in their proposal, Aquatic Design Group demonstrated proven experience preparing designs for other municipalities and recreation districts. And in this particular case, they're partnering with a Bakersfield-based architect as a sub-consultant to address non-pool features, most notably a new shade structure. So staff reviewed the proposal and deemed it complete and later requested a separate cost proposal to actually complete the work. We've received that cost proposal. It's valued at $203,400. So as covered in the staff report, the proposal was reviewed and determined to be fair for the scope of work involved. So both the qualifications and the cost proposal have been included with the staff report. So tonight, the objective is to receive authorization to award a professional services contract to Aquatic Design Group so they may proceed with the work. Provided we get that tonight, the design should be in the position to commence the first of next year, and we could bid the construction work as early as next summer. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is Melby Ortiz involved in it at all?
They're the sub-consultant that I was referring to.
That's right, yeah. Any other questions? So construction would start next summer, you said?
Well, it has to be done summer of 2024. So ideally, the construction starts less than a year from now. But really, it's really 6 months worth of construction once it starts. So I don't think we're going to be quite done early 2024 for the high school swim season. So we're targeting June 2024 for completion.
Any other questions? Okay,
I know just the community is waiting for it, so I know that, so.
yeah, it won't come soon enough now. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, just really quick comment to add, Mayor and Council, is staff, we're doing everything possible to expedite this. However, the state's procurement requirements prohibit some of that streamlining of the process. So aside from that, we're doing everything we can to move quickly with it, recognizing the direction the council, the community expect of the pool. But as Mike has mentioned, our director, early 2024 is probably the most ideal and realistic timeframe for us to reopen the pool.
Okay. Any more questions? We have a motion.
I'll make the motion to award the professional service agreement in the amount of $203,400 to the designer.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to award the professional agreement.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Number four item, award the Mantle Park Shade Structure number 2 to DL Brown Construction.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Chafford City Council, the city received another state grant through the Prop 68 Land and Water Conservation Fund. The grant will be funding 50% of a new shade structure and the irrigation system upgrade at Mantle Park. Council recently authorized staff to conduct formal bidding for the shade structure portion of the project. As designed, the structure will be located off of Mantle Avenue near the intersection of Blake. The space was chosen because it's actually the most popular reservable spot that doesn't offer shade. So for this particular bid process, bidders were instructed to submit 2 costs: a base bid for a structure that will resemble what the current structure that's at the park, and an alternate bid for the same structure with a 2-tiered roof for an enhanced architectural appearance. So Public Works ultimately received 6 bids. The base bids ranged from approximately $114,000 to $170,000. The confirmed low bid was submitted by DL Brown Construction for an exact amount of $114,740. So this company has performed numerous projects for the city in the past, including park projects, and their alternate bid for the upgraded structure would add just over $5,000 to their bid or to the contract if awarded. So a profile of both structures has been included with your staff report. And tonight, Public Works has concluded that the cost to upgrade the appearance of the structure is worth $5,000. One thing to consider is that with the price for the upgraded structure, we're still under the pre-bid estimate of $125,000. And then another factor to consider is this being right off the Mantle Avenue, it's going to be a high profile location for such a structure. So we think it's worthwhile to have something something similar to what you might see at a Gossamer Grove Park. So with that, staff is recommending the shade structure award to DL Brown Construction, expenditures up to $150,000 to cover the upgraded shade structure, construction contingencies, and possible contracted engineering support work if needed.
How fast will it get this one complete?
Targeting summer of next year.
Okay.
Or hopefully right before Cinco de Mayo.
Right. Oh, that would be nice.
I do have a couple of questions on, just because of the Christmas parade, I was just thinking right now. Is it really close to the sidewalk or is it more for the back of the sidewalk?
That's a good question. In fact, we met with the Cinco de Mayo committee and Mayor Prout because there was concerns about the close proximity to the street and whether or not we can accommodate booths and seating for special events. And we actually ended up shifting it an extra 10 feet just to make sure we had a good buffer between the street and the structure.
So in the case of what we have done in the past with the Halloween and the Christmas, we won't be able to put the judge's trailer on the grass, I guess.
No, there should be enough room.
Mhm. Yeah, it's still
Plenty
works.
of
Okay.
room.
Okay, now that structure, no lighting, right? There's no lighting, there's no
Well, this,
benches? Or
Oh.
just,
not at the moment, but
Okay.
but there is a separate project, a park lighting project that's out to bid right now where we're actually extending conduit, electrical service conduit to the shade structure location for future electrical use. It's not a part of this project, but once
Okay.
this project is complete, the issue was we couldn't quite decide on how to provide access to electrical service. We're kind of steering away from having the electrical outlets on the streetlight poles because
Mhm.
they get vandalized quite a bit. So we're trying to develop a more secure way in which to access the power supply. And so again, there's a project that's going to be, we're actually opening up bids this Friday that'll involve replacing all the streetlights, all the interior lights at the park, as well as extending electrical service conduit to this location.
okay, and then future maybe benches in there, or you could just move those
Benches are
portable
actually
ones.
part of the grant. It's not
Okay.
part of this project, but
Okay.
we'll likely purchase and install the benches or the tables inside the
Mhm.
shade structure once the structure is assembled.
It's just
Okay.
similar to the other one that's
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
it's really, the location's
Yeah.
pretty good because
I saw, the only thing I was just wondering, I like the idea of having permanent benches there, but then again, I like the idea to be able to move those benches to use it for something else, put a stage there or some, for another event, another type of event, but, was just thought. So, thank you.
Understood.
any other questions?
So that was just the question I was gonna have is whether it was gonna have lighting and electrical, but that's gonna be taken care of at a different, with a different.
Different phase.
proposal. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll have it.
I'll make a motion to award the Manor Park Shade structure to DL Brown Construction.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza to award this contract.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Number 5 item is to award a construction contract to Unified Field Services in the amount of $1,985,981 for well site number 21.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shaver City Council, bidding was also conducted for a project that would add a new groundwater well at the wonderful industrial park. This well is referred to as well note 21. It's across the street it's across Zachary Avenue from the Ross Warehouse and Distribution Center. It actually was drilled and developed several years ago for ag purposes. And as you may recall, last year, I think it was, the city purchased the well site because the ag use was no longer needed. And Public Works determined the well was suited for domestic purposes. So as designed, the project would equip the well with the pump motor and all the control systems that we need to have a fully functioning well. Plus, it would connect the well to the water distribution system, which is located in Zachary Avenue. So bidding was recently completed and resulted in 6 bids that range from 1.9 to $2.6 million. More or less the range that we expected. The confirmed low bid was submitted by Unified Services Corporation. They recently completed a tanker rehabilitation project just behind the CCF earlier this year. So in addition to bidding construction, staff received a proposal from D. Jasper and Associates to help our staff oversee the construction. Their proposal is valued at up to $127,748. Awarding the low construction bid as well as the construction oversight services, plus applying a contingency factor, suggests that we need a budget of $2.3 million to complete this project. And there's currently $1.3 million in this fiscal year's budget, leaving a $1 million gap. To close this gap, staff is proposing the use of federal ARPA funds that had been envisioned originally for meter installations. But under this new funding scenario, the meter installations would still happen, but the funding would likely change. The funding would likely change to utilizing a loan from the general fund, which was already factored into the financial plan for the water enterprise to help fulfill the city's operational obligations. So another factor to consider is that, as you may have heard, meter installations have been difficult here recently due to supply chain issues, further suggesting that the installations are deferred at least until next fiscal year. The Well 21 project, on the other hand, is a high priority project that's ready to proceed, which is why tonight we're recommending that the council authorize an award of the Well 21 project to Unified Field Services, and also award a professional services agreement to D. Jasper and Associates to oversee the project, and then finally authorize appropriating $1 million in federal ARPA funds to the existing project budget. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just the water level, what's the water table now? How deep are they now? Are they,
For this particular site, that's one of the largest pluses of this site, is that it's nearly 100 feet higher than here in the core city, approximately 250 feet. Whereas here in the core city, we're seeing wells dip below 350.
okay. I know at one time we took that into consideration for the future, that the water level would drop, the bowls are a lot deeper. So that one's gonna be able to be for 10 years from now or 15 years, or I don't know how deep do you go as far as the bowl goes?
Well, I mean, wells are being drilled nearly 1,000 feet now, just in consideration of the water table continuing to lower. But the challenge with that is that you're introducing different contaminants and different concerns. You're kind of experiencing other issues now when it comes to water quality. So it just depends on the geographical area that you're located in. And it's amazing from where we're sitting to industrial park, the groundwater table is significantly higher, and another thing that makes Well 21 a high priority project is that we don't currently have a dedicated supply at the industrial park. All the water is being fed through a pipeline to the industrial park. So if there was ever a service disruption along that pipeline, then we would have some serious challenges delivering water to the industrial park there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mike, just one question. How much water will this well supply? I mean, at what level does it give us as a buffer, like for what we're doing right now? I know you say that we're supplied by a water line, but I mean, does this take off pressure off of that demand, or is this something that's going to be used as like a backup?
No, this will be the primary source of the primary supply that could meet the daily demands for the industrial park there. But the key is having the storage tank and booster pumping facility there to fill the tank at night when the water demand is low. And then throughout the day, it'll deliver water that's boosted through that downstream of that water tank. But we're still going to pump water. The supply coming from the city, the core city, would be the backup supply.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Thank you.
Okay. You're ready to start this project too?
Yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. Huh? I don't know. Okay, we need a motion then. Well, the motion would cover the fact that we would appropriate the full amount.
All right, make a motion to approve the construction contract to Unified Field Services in the amount of $1,985,981 for well number 21 site development project.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes.
Mayor, if I may, just for the record, you made the motion to award for the 1.9, but just to state for the record, it also includes for the inspection with the Jasper and Associates in the amount of
Right.
$127,748 and the appropriation of $1 million in unused and unallocated ARPA funding for the
Yes.
project.
Clerk, you picked that up? Yeah, so it does include all of that.
Thank you.
Okay, number 6 item is to adopt resolution number 2894, making findings, approving modification to the Shafter Building Standards Code.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, I was looking for my planning manager, but go ahead, Dennis, you're coming up. So Mayor and Council, this item is coming back to you from the study session we had. We had originally proposed some changes to the city municipal code to have consistency with the California Building Standards Code. This evening, our chief building official will be making the presentation of what those proposed changes are, and our recommendation is for council to adopt said changes. Dennis.
Honorable Mayor and Council. So this item, I think Steve Esselman, our planning director, is going to bring back at a separate time the items that were brought before. The item tonight is going to be specifically about the new
Code.
Shafter Code of Building Regulations. So it's the 2022 California Building Standards Code. So it's the new codes that are in front of us. So some of the things that that we'll talk about is code adoption process, the codes, the state and local amendments, and then the thing we're asking for this evening is adopt resolution approving the modifications that we need to give to the California Buildings Standards Commission, which is resolutions 2894, and then set a hearing date for December 6th, which is ordinance 743. So the ordinance will be on December 6th. So in a little bit of background about what this is, typically every 3 years, the state kind of adopts new codes, and just as reference, the new codes stand probably as high as this podium. So we have to learn and get and understand those, and then we get a chance to modify them. But the state agencies involved in making the modifications to these codes are the California Buildings Standards Commissions, HCD, DSA, State Fire Marshal, et cetera. There's 13 state agencies in total, but I just kind of listed the top ones. The California Building Standards Commission, CBSC, is responsible for administering and implementation of each code cycle. So these codes are the laws governing the construction of both residential and non-residential construction. The 2022 California Building Standard Codes will be effective starting January 1st of 2023. So the first of the year. And again, like I said, the code, so the California Code of Regulations, so it's Title 24, I think of 29 title packages, consist of all these codes. So part 1 of the code is the California Administrative Code. Part 2 is the California Building Code. Part 2.5 is the California Residential Code. Part 3 is the California Electrical Code. Part 4 is the California Mechanical Code. Part 5 is the California Plumbing Code. Part 6 is the California Energy Code. Currently, Part 7 is vacant. It used to be the Elevator Code. It's moved into a different section now. Part 8 is the California Historical Building Code. And then Part 9 is California Fire Code. Part 10 is California Existing Building Code. Part 11 is the California Green Building Standards Code. And then Part 12 is the California Reference Standards Codes. So altogether, we have essentially 12 parts, 7 being vacant, and the actual code books, there's 11 of them total. So quite a bit, like I said, it stacks as high as the podium. So building code changes at the state level. I was just going to give you a highlight of some of the things that we have. That, again, we don't have any ability to change. Our changes are to increase the standard, not lower it. So if we want to make changes, we can increase the requirement, not lessen the requirement. So these are what have changed at the state level. So some of the new things in front of us,
again, it's just a taste of them because we have thousands of them, is aging in place. So in the California Residential Code, we have a new term called aging in place. And some of the requirements is reinforcement for grab bars we'll see in the new code starting the first of the year. Electrical receptacle switch, as well as like controls for thermostats and stuff like that, doorbell height. So we'll have to monitor all that, making sure they're accessible. And then interior door requirements. We're going to require one door that's 32 inches wide minimum in both bathrooms and bedrooms on the ground floor. And that won't become effective until July, I think, 1st of 2024.
That's only for new buildings then.
Yeah, for new buildings, and keep in mind, it's only gonna happen on the stuff that's permitted after January 1st, 2023. So like Gossamer Grove will probably pull like abundance of permits, and they'll get to stay on the old code or current code for that time. So I think they're slated to pull probably 150, 180 permits by the end of the year, so.
Okay.
Some of the other things that are changed at the state level is energy storage systems. It's definitely new. And so they've added like requirements. The specific thing here is protection requirements. So bollards and stuff in the garages. Roof sheeting, I'm not sure why that's big change, but our normal pattern for the past probably, I don't know, 50, 60 years have been 6 and 12 nailing on residential roofs. Now they're changing it to 6 and 6. So I don't know, kind of an odd change, but it's definitely one of those things that we'll have to have some educational pamphlets and stuff like that. So when the roofers come and do re-roofs or we do patios, we can get in front of that. And then the last item of change that I brought up just on the residential part is revisions for brace wall line requirements. So if you design a braced wall line, or if you want to design a structure out of the California Residential Code, you don't need an architect, you can do it yourself, but they made it a little bit harder to do based on braced wall lines. The next slide, building code changes at the state level from the building code. So I just did a couple of these just to give you a highlight again. So some of what the code did here is they revised panic hardware requirements to align with other portions of the code. So we've added requirements for like batteries or energy storage systems. I don't think that was in another part of the code, but they added it in there because we know there's a hazard there. So basically, if we do those, we have a panic hardware we can push and go and get out in a safe manner. Modular data centers, refrigeration rooms. So like if we have ammonia rooms or something like that over 1,000 square feet, they need panic hardware. And then the big one that I see all the time that gets done incorrectly is electrical rooms with high amperage, so over 800 amps. So that was always hidden in the electrical code, but when we look for panic hardware, we look in the building code. So it's nice they kind of align those requirements. Some other things, fire command centers, this is new. So any building that's F1 or S1, so factories or storage that's over 500,000 square feet, they now say, hey, we need a fire command center. Most of our buildings don't have any fire command center. So it just gives the fire department anything, again, in excess of 500,000 square feet, a room that has some rating to it. So to put all their controls and stuff like that in. Previously, it was for occupied floors over 75 feet of height. So like a high rise building. But we did have it in buildings. So Walmart has them, Amazon has them because it's part of the performance-based design. And then the last item, which I think is really good and needed, is special inspection requirements for storage racks over 8 feet in height. And previously, it was just how we anchored the racks down, but we're starting to see all different sorts of racks. And now the new code basically puts a third set of eyes on it for the size of the steel, so the gauge of it, the length and width of it, how it bolts together, and how it all meets the drawing. So sometimes it's very difficult to go in there and make sure all those racks are done right. But now the code says, hey, you need a third party. So a third party in addition to the building department. The next slide is background for local modifications. The city is mandated by law to adopt the local codes, but we also have the ability to amend and address at the local level, and that's what we're here tonight for. The amendments to the building standards need to be justified on basis of local geologic, topographic, or climatic conditions. Amendments are generally to be more restrictive, not less. Amendments to the administrative standards do not require justification. City staff has worked a lot with Kern County, both building and fire and other jurisdictions, to kind of align our comments. And again, all projects submitted prior to January 1st. So basically by December 30th of this year, will stay on the code we're in, and anything that's submitted after. So basically January 1st or after are subject to the new codes that we're talking about. Next slide, local modifications. Most of the local modification amendments being proposed are very, very minor in nature and will result in substantially the same requirements that exist in the current Code of Building Regulations. The proposed amendments have very few appendice adoption revisions. I'll go over that in a minute. Adoption includes the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code and the 2021 International Swimming Pool and Spa Code. Many of the chapters such as building relocation, mobile homes and accessory structures and floodplain management have no modifications at all. They're just in here for reference. As well as we have like mechanical grading energy code. The only modification is changing our ordinance from 2019 to 2022 essentially. This next slide is just an example of, we have all this verbiage and I think it was back in January 1st of 2019, the state did a health and safety code change that said, hey, instead of giving someone 180 days for permit expiration, they gave us 360. So our ordinance just doesn't align. So again, these are kind of a sample of what we've changed. So we've taken out the 160 and just aligned it with what the exemption in the code is. Here's some examples of the appendices that we're required to make findings that again, while we're here tonight, make findings and go to the California building code. Appendix H patio, we're keeping that one and now it's going to be Appendix AH. It's just a patio kind of standard we've been using in Kern County wide. Appendix K for sound, we're getting rid of that because we're going to reference back to the California Building Code section 1206. Appendix V for swimming pool and safety, we kept that in there. It's now Appendix AX. And then we added two appendix sections, Appendix AQ, which is for tiny houses. And again, it just creates standards. We're not saying you can build tiny houses, but if for some reason we were able to do it on a maybe local level, we have now the standards to do it. So it doesn't give us any requirement to do it other than the building department has codes behind it. And we have codes for like, hey, it has to be 400 square feet or less. It's 6'8" in height. Minimum, the loft requirements, landing requirements, handrail requirements, stuff like that. So it just gives us a code in case we ever need it. And then very similar is the emergency housing. I don't know that we need it, but again, through the rest of the Kern County folks we met with, they're all using these too. So emergency housing in case we do need it, based off of Government Code Section 8698. If we did have a crisis, we at least have standards for occupant loads, whether you're in tents or shelters or what it is, what type of water, stuff like that. So we at least have some standards in front of us. So appendices in the CBC, the building code, the existing, we kept the agricultural buildings that we've had before. And we kept the patio. The only one we added, which is very similar to the residential, is the emergency housing. And then the next slide, very similar. We kept we had the boarding standards in section 1003. The proposed is under Appendix A of the boarding standards. And then the next slide, appendices CPC, so the California Plumbing Code. We have requirements currently for how we drain swimming pools, so to make sure it's safe, whether it's into a sump or a sewer, and the same exact requirements in the new code, so no changes really there, but we still need to have findings. And so again, the reason we're here tonight is to introduce the ordinance number 743 and waive reading, adopting the amending of the 2022 California Building Standards Code by amending Title 15 of the Chapter Municipal Code. And then we want to adopt resolution 2894, making findings and determinations that they're all necessary due to geologic, topographic, and climatic conditions. Here to answer any questions that you may have.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And all those pages that we didn't get to see,
I
except
know.
for those little slides. You did a great job.
Okay.
I know you're on top of all of it, so that's
Yeah.
good. Any other questions of staff?
Any major changes that stand out in your mind? Or
Not on a local level at all. There's big stuff that are coming our way. There's a lot of changes. I kind of went over some of the highlights of the CBC and the CRC. The energy code's going to have some elevated change. I really haven't got into it a lot, but we'll have every single year we have till we get to net zero. So, but I don't think it's extremely costly. So,
okay,
but we're going into probably a kind of an odd time. So kind kind of everything kind of hurts a little bit.
Mhm.
So, and again, you just take the like the first item, aging in place. It's just a new change. So the architect's got to learn it. It's 2 pages full of details that have to go on the drawings. And then the contractor has to learn to put it in. It's not extremely costly to do all that, but it will cause some disruption and the planning side of things, the plan review side of things, the construction side of things. And then we have to learn it in the field too. So,
Mhm.
so I think that's what we're kind of in front of this year.
I think the one I get called on. Swimming pool drain,
Mhm.
coffee thing. I don't. Talk to you. I guess that's the biggest one. See the big old flood of water going down the
Gutter.
gutter.
Mhm.
reality. How often do they change them? I don't know. That's about the only one.
Yeah, and we don't really have provisions for how often you can drain them. I've had a swimming pool for, I don't know, maybe 15 years and never drained it once. So I guess if you balance it, you're fine, but some people probably don't balance them or it gets green and they just want to drain it. So we could always look at setting a requirement, but I think it's better to drain it if they're not able to take care of it and creating mosquito habitats and stuff. So.
Yeah, a lot of them change the- that's about it.
Mhm.
I don't know what.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
All right, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2894, making findings approving modification to California Building Standards Code.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza, which also includes the reading and introduce ordinance number 743. And the hearing date set for December the 6th. Okay, and adopt this resolution 2849, or I'm sorry, 94.
All the above.
Yeah,
Councilmember Alvarado, Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
City manager comments and reports.
Mayor and Council, we have the Charitable Purpose Foundation.
Oh, you didn't want to finish this one first?
If we can just continue with staff reports, we can just go on with the.
So you don't
management
have any
reports.
more staff reports?
We have the Charitable Foundation. Were you going to adjourn and go to the charitable?
Well, I was going to take it up just before the adjournment.
Um, in terms of announcements, just really quick. We have the Kern County Energy Summit tomorrow, which
Mhm.
2 of you will be attending. And then a friendly reminder for anyone that may be interested in attending the Housing Element Community Workshop. That's going to be Monday, November 28th at the Shafter Veterans Hall. Our consultants will be there, our planning manager, and this
Oh,
is to
that's
take
right.
input. Excuse me?
That's right, November 28th.
Yes, Monday, November 20th, right after the Thanksgiving holiday.
Mhm.
Our consultant will be there, our planning manager will be there, and then the purpose of the workshop is to take input from the community. And so anybody that's interested in attending, we encourage them to do so. We did notify the schools for them to attend. They might be of interest because obviously their average daily attendance depends on new growth and new housing. And so we did invite them as well. And then just upcoming event following the Lions Club Christmas Parade on Friday, December 1st is the city's Christmas tree lighting on December 5th. That'll be at the downtown square at 6 p.m. So that was a great turnout last year. So hopefully we get another successful turnout this year as well. And then lastly, just mayor and council, next week will be holiday season. So our city hall offices will be closed next Thursday and Friday. And so we just want to wish everybody, all of you in the community, a safe and happy Thanksgiving holiday.
Good.
And with that, that concludes our report. And I don't have any directors for making any further reports. So thank you.
Okay. Okay, well then at this time, we'll switch over to the City Charitable Purpose Foundation. And the record will show that we have 2 members absent tonight with excused. Approval of agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
And we had 3 items. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Board Member Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. First item is the consideration of a resolution amending the bylaws of the City Charitable Purpose Foundation.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, the first two items, 1 and 2, our Finance Director, Roger Sanchez, will make the staff report. I will tell you, these are ministerial in nature to do some cleanup as it relates to the foundation. One is on the chairs and vice chair of the foundation, and then the second is cleanup to the articles of incorporation. So with that, Roger.
Good evening, board members. Roger Sanchez, Finance Director. So as the city manager has indicated, there's some cleanup efforts. So we're trying to fix the foundation with some issues that we had on the tax, some tax issues. So as part of the articles of incorporation, the officers are designated clearly, but the ones that are kind of vague is the president and vice president of the foundation. So we're recommending, and the attorneys are recommending, that we specify clearly who those are, so that they're by title. And what they're recommending is that the mayor to be the president of the foundation. So if the mayor changes, that'll be the new president, and that'll go along. And also for the vice president to be the mayor pro tem. So that would clarify any issues in signatures that we need on reports. So with that, we recommending that you approve that change.
Any questions of staff?
No,
Okay, we'll have a motion.
I'll make the motion for those changes.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The second item is a consideration of an amendment to the Articles of Incorporation.
Yeah, so basically, the Articles of Incorporation doesn't specify clearly the purpose of the City Charitable Purpose Foundation. So the attorneys are strongly recommending, as required by Section 501(c)(3) of the Internal Revenue Service, that we clearly specify the purpose. And so how it reads and how the Articles of Incorporation will be changed, it'll read: the corporation is organized and operated exclusively for the purpose for charitable purposes within the meaning of the Section 501(c)(3) of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. So that's the modification that they're requesting, and we ask for your approval.
Questions? Motion.
I'll make a motion that we pass it as read.
Second.
Okay, once again, we have a motion and a second for the consideration of the amendment to the articles.
Board Member Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. And the third item is a consideration of money transfer from the Charitable Foundation to the City of Shafter Learning Center.
So Mayor and Council, this staff report will be provided by our Education Director, David Franz.
Honorable Mayor, members of the board. We're recommending that you approve a transfer of $19,000 to the city of Shafter for the purposes of the education department. This consists specifically of 3 separate grants that were given to the Charitable Purposes Foundation. One was a grant from GAF for $3,000 for the purpose of paying for part of one of the murals on the outside of the new buildings. Then there's $15,000 from the Resnick Foundation, which was also dedicated to murals inside the building. And then $1,000 from a wonderful employee through their employee giving program that was not designated for any specific purpose outside of, other than just for education. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Good. You've received several grants already, huh? I
Yes,
mean, in
yeah.
other areas, yeah, it's really helped a lot to show that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, no questions? We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to consider this money transfer for the Learning Center.
Board Member Alvarado,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Okay. I need a motion then to adjourn both meetings if there is no further business.
I'll make a motion to adjourn both meetings.
And it's 7:09.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.